What's going on, y'all? Brandon here from the UK. Thoughts on the Tesla Semi? A couple things. It's funny. On Facebook, I saw, there was, I think it was something engineering on the Facebook page that was talking about Tesla just completed a 500-mile trip with an 82,000-pound load with the Tesla Semi. I was watching the comments, and then I saw a couple people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a long haul trucker. 500 miles is nothing." People were talking about how long it would take to charge a battery of that size. Oh man, you'd be sitting there for hours. Other people were talking about how it's not going to be able to compete. So I thought, oh, that's very interesting, and I'm sure in my mind, I'm like, as Tesla is full of engineers, they've already thought about a lot of the pros and cons of why they're entering the market. So when I watched the Tesla Semi event, I thought, wow, another part of the equation that the drivers aren't really considering, and really the manufacturers of big rigs out here in the UK, it's called lorries. You really should be considering the cost to manufacture this thing and the cost of maintenance and long-term ownership. So number one is, if you're a manufacturer of this, you have a manufacturing line that's only built for semis. The wild part for me is because of the economies of scale, Tesla is able to use a lot of existing components inside the Tesla Semi. I didn't even consider that. They use a Tesla Plaid Model S drive unit. They use the pump. They use the infotainment system. So they already have, I'm not saying they have all the components, but they certainly have some of the most important components when it comes to driving efficiency, when it comes to obviously batteries, when it comes to efficiency. They already have a lot of that technology built, and they're already using that in Tesla Model S and Plaid, Tesla Model S and X Plaid. And the wild thing, it's like they're already making, tens of thousands, 20,000s of these units every single year on year. And it makes sense to put them in a Semi because you're going to be able to save. Second thing is, how long is it going to take to charge? Tesla was able to say they're going to have V4 chargers. They're going to put a megawatt through the charger, and you can charge from, I think they said 0 to 70% in 30 minutes. And they already have some of these built out in Modesto and the Tesla factory. Pretty wild to think that 20% of emissions in America are from 1% of the vehicles that are bought every year. It's maybe 1%, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure, but it's pretty wild to see Tesla entering a brand new market and already creating a product that is superior. And if 80% of the trips are under 500 miles, that kind of makes sense to stay in this area. In addition to long-term maintenance, because it's not mechanical, because there isn't engines, the ability to stay on the road and repair is going to be decreased. And the other thing I didn't even think about, obviously I myself am a layperson, I'm not in the trucking industry. When they're going up a hill, how fast it can go. They obviously towed just shy of 82,000 pounds, up a 6% incline. But on the way down, if you're a normal big rig driver, the amount of braking you have to do going down, you have to be very mindful of that. It's a safety thing. And I didn't realize that you actually have to stop to allow your brakes to cool. But because the Tesla Semi has regenerative braking, by the time they reach the bottom of a giant hill, they don't have to stop. And they actually get more energy back into the battery, which is pretty wild. So it's interesting because from a consumer's perspective, this has really nothing to do with us. But just from a sustainability perspective, saving the environment, being able to be more energy efficient, potentially. I guess we'll see when things really start to scale. And really how much money they could potentially save on fuel, because if diesel is here, it's 2 pounds a liter. So let's just say it's $8 a gallon. I think currency conversion, it's probably closer to $9 to $10 a gallon. And if a Semi's fuel efficiency is 6 miles per gallon. If it goes if you have 100 gallons, it's going to go 600 miles. So let's just say it uses 100 gallons, 600 a trip. If you do multiple trips a week, if you do multiple trips a month, it's an order of magnitude is going to be that much more costly, which is pretty wild. And if you're a fleet owner, I'm really wondering how much you're going to be able to save. So I'm sure those owners know how much time they need to be up, how much fuel they use, how much everything costs. So I'm curious how things are going to pan out. Obviously, this isn't a consumer product. This is a commercial product. But the advantages of this seem pretty cool. And Pepsi is, some of the first customers for the Tesla Semi. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. I'm curious to see some of the more specs as it comes out. And on one last note is the competitors, because they have existing manufacturing lines, and all they really did is just retrofit existing vehicles. Daimler, I think their highest range is around 250. Their lowest is around 200, give or take. And it takes a while to charge. And the reality is they had to probably custom make a lot of these. They didn't have existing manufacturing lines. They didn't have economies of scale. They don't already have an existing customer base. They're not all in on electricity because if they're coming from a diesel and big rig background, that's where their money is, and that's the industry they're staying in. This is a pretty disruptive product, which is kind of amazing. And the other side of that is, if you're building a vehicle from the ground up, and a lot of the components you're already making, but if you're building a vehicle with an existing line, there comes pros and cons with this side. Sure, this way it's going to cost more, but in the long run, you're going to make a big benefit. This is going to cost a lot more per product. So are you going to be making a profit on each product? Whereas since Tesla is so vertically integrated, the amount of savings and profit margins that they're able to make per vehicle is astounding. That's one of the reasons they're the most profitable vehicle manufacturer in the world, especially making EVs, whereas other companies like GM has mentioned, like, they don't actually make money on the vehicles, which is interesting. Anyways, these are my thoughts, just from a normal dude in the UK who likes the idea of technology and being able to be more sustainable and create a future for our kids. So other than that, those are my thoughts. Leave in the comments below what you thought, or if some of the numbers are off, feel free to correct me. Peace.